Okay, so my name's Sarah Lefebvre. I've been in corporate learning for a very long time, and over the years I've become increasingly interested in the potential for games in learning, and in particular how games can help us to approach some of the most intractable problems we face at the moment, things like climate change, sustainability within organisations, ecosystem degradation, and so on, and also more socially systemic issues, things such as racism and inequality. I'm also very interested in how organisations themselves work as learning systems, or in some cases don't work as learning systems. So I'm currently researching and writing a book on a new systems practice approach to learning design. Many of you watching this will probably only know me as the editor of Ludagogy magazine, the latest issue of which ties in with all of these events that are going on at the moment. The issue is all about prototyping and playtesting, hence all of these events that we've been holding, and it came out last Sunday. So do make some time to have a look at some of the great articles that have been contributed by our wonderful bunch of contributors in this month's Ludagogy. And now I'll let Antonis introduce himself.
Yep, I'm happy to be here. I share the same vision as Sarah. So when I met her through the Ludagogy magazine, we started meeting again and again in different events related to games, games-based learning, gamification, or other things like that, which happens to be aligned with what I do for a living, for a job, not for a living. That's a different thing. So I live for a living. I don't like this. I don't know why I mentioned it like that. I really hate the term. Anyway, getting back to it. So I am Antonis. I come from Greece. Now I live in Germany, but I call myself a citizen of the world. I have over a decade of experience in international youth work, through which I developed my skills in training and learning and facilitation and all that jazz. And I started enriching those methods with games and the concepts and the elements behind games to improve engagement. And that's how I got into the field of gamification and games-based learning. Two different things, but very nicely overlapping and both improving engagement. So from the nonprofit sector, that where most of my background comes from, I started going into practicing that for private companies and for startups and for other businesses, as long as they're still purpose-driven. Because like to close this weird introduction, everything I do from my professional life to my volunteer work, I do in order to leave the world a little bit better than I found it in. That being said, this the game that we're gonna kind of demonstrate today is part of a European project that is its aim is to improve and inspire, to improve the environment for social enterprises and inspire people to fund more social enterprises and make their own difference in the world. And one of the methods that this project is using, this European funded project is using, is crowdfunding. So part of the outcomes of this project is creating a board game through which people will be learning how crowdfunding works in a fun and interactive way. And this is where I come in, and this is where I got hired to design a board game, and I presented the first early alpha version of that board game a couple of months ago in Spain, where I met Diba, who is also in this call and is my partner in crime right now. Diba is an incredible designer and has a lot of experience in game design as well. So she was able directly to give very, very concrete feedback for improving the game, and then started going straight into action. All right, let's do this, let's do that. I'm like, okay, we are we now. I love this. Let's do this. So now we're doing this together. The version that will be presented to you today is like late alpha, early beta version, I guess. It still needs a lot of work, but it's a vast improvement from the first version that I created, and this is the version that we created together with Diba. So that being said, we'll let Diba introduce herself.
Thank you, Antonius. Thank you for the very much compliment. And that I received. I'm very happy. And as Anthony said, I had the chance to met him and be a part of this project in Spain. And I'm not based on Spain. I'm living in Sweden. And I'm originally from Iran, if it's also a question. The work that Anthony have done on the game, it was really amazing. And I was, by first glance, I was going that I'm going to work with you. And I remember this conversation that I told him that, you know, I'm going to contact you and I'm going to work with you because that's a very creative job you have. And I'm very excited to be participating on that. My background is very complicated. I am an engineer and designer and game designer and project leader. Right now, I'm most on like project leading culturals, and that's how I get the chance to connect with this project. And so far, it was very amazing because, as Anthony said, it's an educational game, and I think it's the subject is something that can help lots of people to expand their ideas and use their ideas to do some actual works. That is the subject of the aim of the game board. And yeah, I can pass the microphone to you, Lexman. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Diba, and thanks, Antonius. I'm just going to play your game, and I'm a participant here. So with that, I'll let you take the journey ahead. Looking forward to it.
Cool. Eager to hear your feedback.
Me too.
Right. So it can't be said enough times, but this is a very early prototype. So still there is a lot of work to be done. The board that we'll present today, it's a mirror board that we will present today, and it's just for the purpose of this demonstration. It's by no means the final one, just to avoid any criticism on being incomplete. It is incomplete. Right. So that being said, what we prepare today is meant to be played by 4 people. So we may pretend to be 4 people. I mean, the players. We are actually 4 people, but yeah. And try to make something out of it. I will share my screen now to hopefully share the right tab. Yes, it is indeed the right tab.
So, Antonis, do you want Lakshman and I to pretend to be 2 people each?
You can pretend to be 2 people each, indeed.
I'm a Gemini anyway, so it's easy.
I guess that helps. So I'm going to share a link to that will give you access. Wait, let me ensure that this is the link that can be shared. Okay. Yeah. All right. So the board is not private. I guess you'll become a part of the team of this board anyway. So you can, yeah, you have, with this link, you should be joining this board and directly this particular part of the board that I'm screening.
Excellent.
Right. So the narrative of the game, we already have some elements of the story here. But let's see if we can make this a bit more interactive.
Can I suggest something, Antonis?
Yes.
If you are on the board, you can click on the icon with Antonis on it, and then you can follow Antonis as he moves through the board.
Yes, that's
it says we have view only access. So is that okay and sufficient for us to play with?
It should no, no, but I guess we can go into the process of just moving things around for you.
Yeah.
We're not going to be
Sure,
able to play a
sure,
full game anyway.
Sure.
We'll just play the first few stages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
there's one thing I've learned over these sessions, it's to just take the simplest route.
Yep. Yep. So with the view access, you can at least view the same thing that I'm viewing. If you click on me, I see 2 people following me, so that should be the 2 of you, which are 4 people now. So let's see what happened. The scenario is kind of simple. It's there's a squirrel village called Squirrelville, and the squirrels there live a happy and beautiful life, like squirrels do. You know, just going around, dumping nuts into their mouths and trying to live a relaxing life. One day, though, they get attacked by a dragon. The dragon is not any random dragon. The dragon is a dragon that is famous for loving nuts and occasionally also eating squirrels. That's not good news for the squirrels. But there are some good news in the process. You come into the game. For people in this for this particular instance, and you just happen to have the expertise to defeat the dragon. You know what is the weapon that can defeat this dragon. So what do? You gather around and start making some plans, and then you realize, you need actual funds to build the weapon. You don't have enough money on your own, or nuts, which is the currency in this in Squirrelville. So what you need to do is you're going to run a crowdfunding campaign, obviously, in Squirrelville. What else? And this campaign will help you to gather enough funds to build the weapon to defeat the dragon. So now it's time to explain how the game works. The game goes on in 3 stages. In the first stage, we're basically before the campaign, so it's all the planning process and the outreach part of the whole game, which is trying to reach enough squirrels to get their support. In the second stage, which is getting the support from the squirrels, running the campaign, and gathering enough nuts to build the weapon that will defeat the horrible dragon. And in the third stage, this is after the campaign, where you're basically using the funds to buy the resources necessary to build the weapon to defeat the dragon. It's simple as that. The way you play is starting from the first round. Let's say we can start from the player who is more recently ate nuts. Who would it be? Sarah or Laxman? When did you last eat nuts?
That was me. I think I had a lot of peanuts last night.
Then I guess you go first, and then normally this is meant to be played on a physical board, so I will call you with the order that I see you on my screen. So I guess Diba will play this player, the first one. Then Laxman will play the second one, and Sarah will play the third one. And let's completely skip the fourth one, just see what happens. So the way you play the game, like I said, we designed it for 4 players, but let's see if it works with 3 as well. Let's try to be 1 player each. And if it proves to not be enough, then Sarah will indeed become the Gemini and play 2. So the way you play is on each round, and you may notice here that each stage has 3 rounds. You begin by drawing cards. The cards are randomly played. Yes, Diba, I think you can show how it works by drawing the cards. You have mission cards here, which define the mission that you're undertaking in each round. And you have action cards here on the left side. There are 2 decks that define the actions that you're taking in order to fulfill this mission. So what is necessary at the beginning of each round is for each player to draw until you have on your hand 2 mission cards and 3 action cards. Then after everybody has done it, let's try. I think only Diba and I have access, so let's try to do this like in a way that will work for everyone. Wait, something's happening.
I think you can share another link that they can be able to edit also.
Yeah, that's the one I shared. They need to be accepted into the team. This is not a pro account apparently, so they need to be accepted into the Miro team in order to have rights. It's okay. We'll just do it like manually. So let's see. 2 mission cards for each and 3 action cards for each, all of which are random. So this is when it happens in real life or in the final game, this will be faster and more intuitive. So now we're just wasting time showing how this works. And while Diba is finishing the third player, we'll explain more on what happens. So what happens in each round and what will be in the final design of the game will be that on each round you're presented with a challenge. So this it shows the narrative of the whole story and gives you some limitations on how the game is played. So, for example, in the first round, let me try to see how that will work. In the first round, I forgot to keep it open beforehand. The challenge would be that you can only use you can only the 2 first players can use a mission card instead of the third player. So the way each round works is you are presented with a challenge at the beginning of the round, and then as a team, because this is you play as a team, so your purpose is not to play against each other, but to defeat the game. So your purpose is, as a team, to first decide on which mission you will want to play in order to fulfill the challenge and move the campaign forward. And you can only play as a team one of the missions that you have to choose among all the cards that you have on all of your hands. And then each player has to choose accordingly one of the action cards per player. And you just, the way you do this is you move the card here, and then it works. After you decide by debating with each other which one to play. And you do the same with the action cards, one per player. Each mission card has signs on it. If you're following me, you probably see. Let me see if I can do that. Bring to me. And yeah, you can click on the icon on the top right, so you can follow me. There you go. So now you see what I'm doing. Each mission card you can see has some icons that basically limit what you can play, what action cards you can play. So if you choose to play this mission card, you can only play with it action cards that have these signs on them. All right. So each mission describes what you're doing. Each action has an icon that signifies what relevant kinds of things you have to do in order to fulfill this mission. Is it clear, or did I explain it in a very complicated way? Maybe I need to rest. So as a team, you decide what mission you're playing. Clear. Yeah. As a team, you decide what mission you're playing, and each player then has to decide together. You negotiate on that because the cards are open, the hands are open, which action cards you will play with it. And after you decide, I will tell you what's the next stage.
Okay.
How do we know what's the action icon indicate? What's supposed to be done?
So the action cards just have these icons that show you if you can play them or not. Each icon has like the narrative of representing, for example, this one that I'm showing now, the third one, represents that you're doing a creative action, that you're coming up with a new idea.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So this the icons are basically representing a type of action that you can take.
I understand. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, are they mission cards randomly distributed, or do they relate
Yes.
to the skill set? Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention one important thing. You can only play a mission card that corresponds to the stage that you're in. So for example, the first stage is colored green. You can see here on the flag, some have a green color, some do not.
Okay.
So you can only decide to play among those that have a green color. So for example, you see now, based on statistics, that you only happen to have one that corresponds. So I guess your choice is pretty straightforward. You can
Yeah.
play only this mission. And the way you play it is you just move it to the stage, and then you choose what missions what action cards you play with it. Each player can play one action card.
Antonius, I put some sample of the cards, action cards, on the at the bottom, so you can explain what are each of the symbols relevant to the.
So are the action cards? They're like they're the cost of completing that mission. Yeah.
Actually, the idea is that when we are doing the campaign, we need to do some actions to have a better campaign, so to support our ideas. And these action cards, as Anton is showing right now, these are like we have to put some money on it. Maybe the first one is money.
Yeah, the first one relates to budget and planning ahead. The second one relates to creativity and coming up with new ideas. The third one is with communication, online or offline. The third one is with audio or video creation or photos, visual materials. The fourth one is text and communication that is in written form. And the final one is about materials and resources.
Okay.
So the actions that you can play, you will get the hang of it while playing. You will see slowly, you will make the link of why, for example, if you play a specific mission, you can only play cards that relate to planning and cost, or you can only play cards that relate to coming up with new ideas or being creative.
Okay. So the question I was asking, so if I look at the mission cards have got 3 symbols on. So do we have to play those cards in order to carry out that mission?
Yeah.
That those actions are like the cost of completing that mission. And are these randomly allocated, or do they relate to the skill set of the particular squirrel?
Yeah, they not of the particular squirrel. They relate to the actions that need to be taken by a team to fulfill this kind of mission.
Okay. Now, what I meant was the cards that are on top of in the squirrel's area. Okay.
Yes. Where?
So the
these ones, for example.
Yeah, those ones, those 3 there. That are those are resources that have been allocated to that squirrel, are they, effectively? Or the
these
ability, the ability to do that kind of task?
These ones, the ones that I'm showing now.
Yeah.
These are just the actions that the action that the squirrel has to take in order to fulfill this mission. And as a team.
Okay.
So
what I'm trying to get to is when you play that card, is it spent?
Yes.
So these are they're basically the resources that squirrel has to carry out missions.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And these would
I'm
be
sure it's
replenished. These would be replenished once they get over. As an
You
indicator.
have a set number of actions that is shuffled here, and once you play them, they are spent, like Sarah said.
Right. Okay. Cool. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's become
And then on
obvious
the
to
next
people.
round, on the next round, you pull new ones, and then you know you play from only the ones that are available.
Cool.
Okay.
So you can decide now. You can talk to each other and decide which cards that you have. You have to play.
We don't have an option on the mission that's already selected, right? We just have to select the actions.
Yeah. Well, you have an option if you have enough missions to choose from.
Yeah. Right now, we don't.
In this
have enough.
occasion, you just had one that you could play based on the stage. So that was the one.
Okay. Where's the mission gone?
Here.
Just try to have your campaign in other languages to reach out to more players.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to. We need a blue card, which is the communications card. We need an ideas card and a text card.
What's the gray card action symbolizing? The one with a U shape and 2 chopsticks on it.
Chopsticks. That's a text.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry for that. Yeah.
The one that is similar to Euro.
Yeah.
It's budgeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can play an idea card. I haven't got anything else that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have a new option because we just have an idea card and text card available.
Yeah, we have just text and idea, but we don't have any online or communication. So
yeah.
Okay, one more clarification. When we say it's a text card, what form of text is it referring to? Or what medium of text do we have an option to use?
A written text in the form of a story or a description or anything that you would put, for example, to describe your campaign.
No, I was asking, is it kind of something that gives us a flexibility to use it as an email or use it as a brochure or use it as a banner?
Yeah, you can use it on all of those.
Okay.
And this is, you see it on the missions, that the missions relate to that. So what happens in the case that you don't have a card to play, then you can choose, we should have a pile to put those. Yeah, you can choose to throw away one of your cards into, let me create a discard pile, into this discard pile that just appeared here. Yeah, so you put them here, and then when you're running out of cards, you can reshuffle them and put them back into the deck and choose from those.
Okay.
I think.
Why would you discard a card?
Because you cannot play it, so you can choose to discard one and exchange it with a new one from the
right,
deck.
so you get to draw a new one if you discard. Right, okay, that makes sense. I thought we were
so
just throwing a card away.
Yeah, so you either play a card if you have, or you choose a new one, and you can only take one of these two actions per round.
Okay, and do we have to be mindful about these different characteristics of the squirrel that you have described in the explanation above? The narrative.
Yes, but this will come along.
Oh, okay.
I won't worry about that for now then.
Sure.
So I guess I want to play an idea card.
I think because this is more about talking to different people in different language, or reaching out to them in different language, I would prefer to play a text card. Because that should be the easiest and fastest to get in touch and seek some kind of.
Okay, I might be misunderstanding. I thought we had to play all three of those cards to carry out that mission.
Yeah, that's a good point for improvement. You can play any of these, not all three.
Right. So any card will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Something that might be useful to know is that we have 4 of each category. So if we spend lots of ideas at the beginning of the game, so we run out of ideas. So we might choose like strategically, so we can keep track of the cards and we use them in a better way. For example, I think here that we have 3 ideas and 2 texts and some money. We can spend either of them because we have still some of text and ideas remain on our hands. So that can so we can decide which one to use for this card.
Okay. Well, we've got quite a lot of ideas at the moment. We've got less text, and those are the only 2 that are suitable.
Yeah.
Or do we discard a card and get 1?
But then we won't carry out the mission, will we?
If you play at least one of those, then you're carrying it out.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
shall we? So you were saying, Diba, that there's same amount of each of those resource cards, then each of those task cards. There's 4 of each. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have right now 3 of text and 2 of ideas, right? And 2 of money. 3 of money, sorry. 3 of money.
3 of money, 3 of ideas.
3 of ideas, 2 of text. So then I think we should go with either ideas or money.
Yeah. Okay, I'll play an idea because I've got 2 ideas.
Sure.
So
do we also need to detail out what the idea is, or we just playing the card as is? We're not detailing it out.
You can, I mean, you feel free to discuss, but the game at its current stage doesn't require it. Like
okay. No,
within,
I'm just understanding at the current
yeah.
stage. Okay, okay. We play an idea.
Okay,
Yes.
so and Antonis, you're gonna have to move it for me because I can't.
Oh yes.
So if you just take one of my ideas and discard it, and
you're the third one, yeah.
Yeah. I'm
So
the
there you
tech.
go.
I'm the tech squirrel.
So you're playing an idea card, and
Yeah.
that's it. I see a text here.
Yeah, that's all we have to do,
okay,
isn't it?
okay. Can we play more than one action per mission?
Per round, 1 action card per player.
Oh,
Okay. What would be the advantage of playing more than 1 action card?
You will see, but because I will explain what happens after you put the cards there.
Okay.
So we just have to take a leap of faith.
Yeah, take a leap of faith.
I think we could also play a text card here because this talks about different language and text would be important.
So Antonis, do I draw another card?
Not yet, because we didn't go to the other round. But we have 1 player who played the mission, 1 player who played 1 action card, and I guess the second player plays another action card, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have, for the first round, we have 2 actions played, which means the mission card also signifies how many squirrels you are reaching per action. So you were able to play 2 action cards. That means you reached 2 squirrels.
Ah, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Does it mean 1 action card is 1 squirrel?
Yeah. No, wait.
Because on the mission card it just says more squirrels. It does not quantify the squirrels.
What?
In the mission card, the last statement says to reach more squirrels. It does not say it's 1 squirrel per action card.
Yeah, I mean,
No, it says more squares, but the action cards indicates that there are one square on the card. If you look at other cards, you see that the different action cards has different amount of squares.
Makes sense.
Right. So we see that on the first round, you basically have one mission that has one squirrel and two cards. So 2 times 1, you have 2 squirrels from the first round. Right?
Ah, I see. There's a number. There is a number of squirrels on the.
This is a squirrel.
Yeah, I can't see. We can't see that card. I think it's gone underneath.
Oh, the one at the bottom. Okay, the 2 green one. Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So the brown and
mission.
red one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the
Oh,
mission card, there's a number of squirrels underneath.
Yes.
Yeah, and also some nuts, which we'll probably find out what they're about as well, won't
Yeah.
we, at some point?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense now. There
All
you
right.
go.
So
that's one squirrel. That indicates one squirrel is reached per action card. Right.
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah. So first round, you multiply squirrels by actions.
Yeah.
And you have 2 squirrels. Second round, same logic. When the round begins, you will be presented with an obstacle that limits your actions somehow. That
Yeah.
I forgot to prepare, but let's think that there is some limitation.
When do we draw the cards?
You at the beginning of the round, you replenish your hand. So
Okay.
basically, now you need to put 1 new mission on this hand and 1 action on this hand, 1 action on this hand.
Okay. So it's basically maintenance at the beginning of each round. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But Antonis, we didn't have any other green card right now,
No.
so
Yeah.
the only chance is for me to draw out a green card.
Yeah.
What's happening now?
So now you're understanding what happens. So if you see that you don't have enough mission cards that you can play on this stage, then it may be a strategic option to choose to discard one of the missions and exchange with a new mission. So you're able to play in the next round.
Okay. Yeah.
So for example, now if you choose a new mission, if you pick one new mission, right? Statistics work in your favor. You have a green one, so that's now is the only one you can play, but it limits your options.
Yeah. So I suppose in the real world that would represent a situation where you have a task to carry out or something you need to do, but you're not currently able to because haven't got the appropriate skills or the appropriate resources or
the appropriate skills or the appropriate human resources or the appropriate time.
Yeah.
Because we all have limitations. So these limitations that are in the game are trying to mimic the limitations that you have in a real life campaign.
Yeah. Cool.
So at the beginning of each round, you replenish your hand and you decide if you're gonna play a mission, or if you're gonna exchange a mission, or if you're gonna play an action, or if you're gonna exchange an action.
Okay.
Each player can only play 1 card.
You're going to have to replenish for us.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So let's see. We have here. Oh.
Super.
Oops. There you go. So now you can decide what to play in the second round.
Actually, we can't decide that much because we have just 1 card that we can play.
Yeah.
Is it possible to throw out one of the mission cards and then draw another so we can have more options?
Yes. But that means you're depleting your action. This is how you're, if you choose to do that, then you cannot play anything else on this round.
But I mean, it's kind of fine, isn't it? As long as we have got a green option, then that's an appropriate mission that we could carry out at this point in our campaign. Because I'm guessing the colours on the cards, the green and the brown, are saying this is the order in which it's appropriate to do these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the green ones are early in your campaign and the brown ones are later on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter as long as we've got a green one. We don't need to have different green ones to choose from, do we?
Yeah, but the number of squirrels that you get is the math that is, you know, multiplying the squirrels with the actions.
Well, I don't know whether we get to any more squirrels with the other green cards. So
Exactly.
Okay, I
Okay,
played another.
Can we replenish one card? And I wanted to draw your attention, Diba and Sarah, to the card that Sarah has. The first one, which says you need more nuts for advanced features of Nut. That's something we are spending more, and we don't. We get 2 squirrels, we get 3 nuts and 2 more cards, action cards. But then I'm not sure whether that would be useful for us right now, or is this something strategically important towards a later stage?
Yes. What another thing that's missing is that at the end of the stage, there will be a representation on the board that basically tells you the goal. So at the end of stage 1, let me check my math. You should be able to have. Whoa! What happened here? You should have a minimum of 12 squirrels.
Oh.
So this gives you the perspective on how you calculate the cards that you play.
Is there a concession given that we are not 4 players?
Yes, now the math comes to play. Yeah, that's now that's why it's designed for 4 players.
And the other thing is that the squares, the cards that we have, because we just had 2 cards by far, each of them has just 1 squares, and we received 2.
Yeah.
So we have like right now we have 2 squares, and this card that I put on the table, it needs idea and money.
And
So,
we just have 1 more round to go. I'm afraid if we can make up to 12 squirrels.
I am also afraid. So the village is on fire.
So are we not able to? So
yeah, okay, it makes sense to play with 4 players.
The cards that we have to play, so the action cards that we have to play, are we only able to play 1 of each kind?
Yes, but let me see the math. I think, well, I think it can be played with 3, 4, or 5 players, but I need to calculate how much, how many like squirrels you need to reach according to the number of players.
Okay.
So yeah, I think with 3 players we can take it down to 9 squirrels.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Right. I again only have an idea that I can offer to this party. How are we doing for the others?
So you decide to play the idea. Okay. What's the intentions of the others?
Can I play one?
You were the first one, right? You played the mission, no?
Yeah, but I have money and I want to spend. Yeah, I'm very rich. So.
No, you don't have money.
I have money, so I can spend money because I can't spend. I can't spend the text cards that I have, text action, because this is not going with the mission. I have money. That's the only option that I can play.
Okay. So let's see.
Yeah, we should spend our money on getting an internet connection, shouldn't we? Because that's what we need at the moment.
Come on, Antonis, I do have money.
No, not yet. Money comes into play on the other one, on the second stage.
No, she means a money card.
Oh,
I do have a money card.
Yeah, you do, but you play the mission, so you can only play 1 card.
Oh, right. It's not 1 action card.
Yes.
It's just 1 card, full stop.
Yeah, it's either a mission or a
right. Yeah. Okay, so you either decide what's happening.
Okay, in that case, can we
or you do it?
Cards? Can we barter mission cards?
Can you what?
Can we?
Yeah, maybe I can buy 1 mission card.
Yeah.
No, that happens on the next round. Or wait, who? So wait, so you're not playing the money card? You're choosing to get a new mission. Is that right, Laxman?
No. I was saying that because Diva has more money, I have more text. Possibly, can I give one of my mission card to her and use her mission as my gameplay so that she can use her action cards? So I exchange
yeah. In the rules, you can either exchange from the deck or with another player, but that's already a move. So you're spending your move like that. You cannot do another move on this round.
Okay. Then this clarifies.
Right. So we've now got. Can we not play that money card then?
I think the game is, we're done with the game right now for this round.
Yeah.
Because we got a mission, we got to action.
Yeah.
And we get 4 squares. 2 + 2.
2 more squirrels.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are not going to have like 5 squares for the next round.
Yeah, the math doesn't work for 3 players. So
I don't think it matters. We know, we can see how the
let's go
how the principle works.
Yeah.
All right. So let's assume you're fulfilling your goal in 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out the math on how this happens.
Yeah.
What happens if we don't fulfill the round?
Then you lose the game.
Okay, makes sense.
The stage, not the round. Like you have 3 rounds per stage. So if at the end of the whole stage you don't reach the goal, you lose the game.
Okay, makes sense.
But the goals become like there are basically 1, 2, 3 goals, and each goal is a bit more difficult, a bit more challenging from the previous one. So the first one is meant to be like mathematically easy enough to not lose your hope already from the beginning.
Okay.
But yeah, the math needs to be reworked apparently, because it doesn't work for 3 players at all, the way I imagine. Right. So let's assume you play 3 rounds. I'm just gonna put random mission cards. No, it's not one. There. Let's assume you play this one so you can waste it.
Antonis, can I go for the nightmare round also?
Yeah, sure.
I'm responsible for the story development. So we have a nightmare round. And that's when after the first, because the first stage is the pre-campaign. So we are preparing everything. And then occasionally the group gets into a fight. So now we are fighting to, if we still love each other enough to continue the campaign together, or we can give up. So, and this part also we can spend some. We don't have the cards ready, but just for you to give feedbacks. Then we have a voting system, and then we decide if we continue with the fight, with the campaign or not. So we can go.
The nightmare card is more about a scenario where we vote and we identify whether we won the fight or not. Is that right? Am I right?
Yeah, it's a representation of a conflict that might arise when a team works together. And actually, I had some stories around that. The story is around misunderstanding each other, and then we have to come up with a strategy, or like respecting each other or so, to avoid the conflict and continue with the campaign.
No, I understand that. My question is with regards to voting. I'm asking, is voting the only way to decide whether we have survived the nightmare or whether the nightmare has impacted us? It has kind of.
Okay. That's true. Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we assume that we've sailed through this first stage, these first 3 days, and then is there any way we can play the nightmare round?
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
So you play the nightmare round.
Yeah. So we assume that we've managed to somehow get 9 squirrels.
Yep. Yeah, well, or whatever number will be the final number, depending on the number of players. Because, yeah, the way we redesigned the game, the original game was played only by 4 players. This one, we designed it for 4 players, but based on the mechanics, it can be played with 3 or 5, but the math needs to be adjusted.
Yeah.
So the goals need to be adjusted of each stage.
Or possibly, if I may intervene, you could adjust the number of steps in each stage. Right now we have 3 steps. Maybe lesser
right.
number of people, you could add 1 more step.
Right. Well, we would need a new board for each, depending on the number of players, though. So, yeah, I guess there is a space on the board to depict the different goals according to the number of players, or in the handbook, which is the easiest. But yeah, the idea is that at the end of stage 1, you have managed to reach enough squirrels, and the goal is to reach a minimum number of squirrels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So stage 2, there is one extra thing that you keep in mind. Stage 2 means the campaign is running. So what happens in a campaign is you get money from the squirrels that you've reached. Money is nuts. If you have another look at the missions that you've already played, you see squirrels and you see the number of nuts held by squirrels. In this case, you're kind of lucky because each squirrel is holding 1 nut. In some other missions, you will see basically more squirrels and one of them will not be holding a nut. So it's not the equal number. The number of nuts is equal or less to the number of squirrels, just so you can get the idea.
Yeah.
Right?
So some squirrels will just be watching your campaign rather than contributing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So
So
what you do is you see basically you multiply with a number of action cards. So you assume that you've gathered now 2. You multiply again. So 1 times 2, that's 2, 4,
8
and
squirrels. If we
8. You gathered 8 nuts, not 8 squirrels. So
okay.
you use this as your coins, and this is the amount of money that you've already gathered from the first day because you've reached enough squirrels. Success, yay! Well, let's assume that they are 8. I'm not going to move all of them now, but let's assume that these are 8, right? And the second stage is played with the same way. Like again, you replenish your cards until you have 3 actions and 2 missions per hand. But there is one thing that comes into play again. It's like when you're playing your cards, you also calculate the nuts that you're getting from the squirrels. So that's the second mechanic that is introduced in the second round, in the second stage.
Oh, okay. So we don't get to earn the nuts from the first round.
You do.
Okay.
You start the stage by calculating the number of nuts that you got from the first stage.
Okay.
And then you play the first round of the second stage and you calculate both the squirrels and the nuts and so on. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
And that's the second mechanic that you get. So let's see. We have... No, that's an action card here. A mission card here.
It's a non-trivial issue, isn't it? Setting all this up in Miro, making sure that everything's on top of everything.
Yeah, that's it's a lot. It's not optimized for card games, you know. It's supposed to be a brainstorming platform.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same experience.
Yeah. All right. So now you have you all have your new cards. So let's see how it works. You can decide what mission to play and what actions to play.
We're now in the brown stage, so we've got many more options, haven't we? Does everyone want to look at their cards and read them out? So I've got here. You need more nuts for advanced features of Trenache. I do like the puns, by the way. I have to say, there's some top-notch puns in this.
And what's the goal for the second round? How many squirrels and how many nuts do you need to have?
Yeah, there are numbers. Since we're three, like I cannot really calculate it. Like for 4, there is a number, but let's assume it's not as easy to reach as the previous goal. It's more tight if you for an average.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You said the number of the 4. It just adds on to the dimension of the gameplay, and we may have to think based on it strategically. So that's the reason I'm asking for it. It's a different story with 3 of us where we may achieve or not, but at least that gives us the gameplay essence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to sort of complete the description of the card that I'm holding, it needs money and it needs a red thing that we don't have, I don't think. Nobody's got the red thing, have they? The red action. No. So we can't play my card.
No, we
anyway.
don't.
We can't play my card anyway. And I guess we also need to pay attention to the number of squirrels, how many squirrels are holding nuts, and the number of nuts underneath the squirrels as well at this stage, do we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a card which talks about 2 squirrels, 2 nuts, and almost 4 nuts below them. 2 squirrels holding 2 nuts.
Yep. And then 3
and 4
nuts. 4 nuts underneath.
Do we look at 4 or do we look at it as 5? Are the smaller nuts also considered nuts? Or
You can spend idea on that the card that you want to play. I have a good idea for that.
Organize an event to
Okay,
promote your
so
campaign?
we've got the internet thing now, haven't we? So we could play that card. We could play all 3.
Yeah.
We could play all 3 actions on that card, and it seems like it's got a pretty good return. The only one that's I think the 2 cards that Bieber is holding are even better though, aren't they? Because they've got an extra squirrel. But one of them she can't play. We can't play because it's got a red thing. So I reckon it's a toss-up between Freddie's right-hand card and Basiliki's left-hand card. Which one do you think we should play?
If I play, then I can suspend the idea. But if we play the Vasiliki's card, then I can spend the idea on that.
Ah, yes. If we, that's a shame. So Vasiliki's left-hand card. If Vasiliki plays that, we can't play the internet action.
No.
So
what is important for us to have an internet action or spend an idea?
Well, because the more actions we play, that's a bigger multiplier, isn't it?
Yeah, that makes sense to me as well.
So if we play Freddie's card, I think we can play all 3 action cards, can't we? I think.
No, we would have to play only 2 because if Freddie's
only play 2.
Yeah, sure.
But
still we can play. We can still play this. Yeah. And yeah, what do you think about it, Deepa?
Yeah, I totally agree. In this way we can gain more action cards.
Okay, except we can't, can we? We can't. Oh no, we can, because we can play an idea card, can't we? An idea card. Oh no, we can't, because that squirrel will be playing the so whichever squirrel plays the mission, they've got one of the cards we need to play. Because basically,
Actually, I think if we play the Basiliki's card, then we have also the one with photo, the color of the green color action.
I can play the green colored action.
Yeah, you can play with green color because you don't have anything else to play with.
But I'm also the only one that's got the idea. Oh no, I'm not. Somebody's got an idea card, haven't they? Yes, so we can do that.
Yeah.
That's best, isn't it?
Yeah.
That
You
allows
don't
us
have
to
an
play 2 actions.
Sarah, you don't have an idea card, right?
No, I don't. No. So
No.
so Vasiliki's right-hand card is the only one that will allow us to play 2 actions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So that's the one then.
But then with the right hand card, we have to be careful that we get lesser nuts, we get more squares.
Yeah, but it's multiplied, isn't it? So it's still a better
Okay,
option.
okay, sure.
It's multiplied by our number of actions that we play.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are we getting the idea of this game,
Yeah.
Anthony?
Yes.
Are we talking about the strategy in the right way?
Yeah.
Right, cool.
Yeah. So I guess this is your play, but then you depend only on luck whether you will get a matching mission or you'll need to no, you have enough missions, so you can focus on the action cards, right?
Yeah. So I need to play the green action.
The green action stands for?
I don't know. What is the green
Audio and video.
Audio video.
Audio
Okay.
video.
Okay.
Well, have you
So
And with like photos, videos, all the multimedia content.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Cool.
Right. So let's see how lucky you are. Ah.
Okay, it seems we are doomed.
So how many squirrels and how many nuts did we get from that little play?
Calculate. So here you see you get 1 nut per action card. So that means 2 nuts and
3 squirrels.
yeah.
What does the loose nuts below the squirrel indicate?
That it's the second stage, but maybe it's confusing.
All right.
Are we not in the second stage? We are in the
Yeah.
second stage or in the second round?
Yeah, that's the round design of the card. But at the last minute, I didn't get them out, so
Okay.
they are remaining.
Oh, I thought we were going to get this bonanza of nuts.
Yeah.
Sorry, no.
So that's in the next round that comes in, yeah?
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's the idea. You get more nuts here, so you have more funds to spend. Right. Let's assume you played 3 rounds and you managed to succeed, right? Because we need to move on to getting some initial feedback.
Yeah.
So on the 3rd round, the idea is that the new mechanic is that you can now you can play the same way. So you get new missions, you get new actions. What happened there?
Oh, lovely. Some kind of laggy repeating thing.
Nice
So
kaleidoscope there.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that in the last round,
I think I put something there and everything got just crazy.
Can you hit the undo button?
I do, but it's...
Oh, you did it many times. Look at that. Wow.
I think it got everything and just put them on top of each other here. So I'm...
Yeah, okay. So let's, yeah.
So I'm guessing in the last round, we get to spend all of our nuts on the nutapult.
Yep. Right. So the 3rd round, you play the same way. So you still are able to reach enough squirrels and get enough nuts from them.
Yeah.
But the extra mechanic is that you, and that's a second action that you get. There's a second move that you get per round, per individual, is that you get to spend your money to buy resources.
Okay.
These are the resources. And at the end of the stage, you basically have a second goal. You need to reach X number of resources in order to build the Natapult, because that was the whole point.
Yeah.
Right. And we're trying to brainstorm on a an extra technique that will have you basically reflect on the cards that are already there, since they're all open now, the cards that you played, to reflect on what exactly you did, like how many ideas you spent, how many texts you have created, how many photos you have created, so you can have an overview. And we're thinking of something that will get you something extra and improve the learning from, from the why did you play this particular card or the other card.
So this star is the extra? It's
the what?
Can you repeat the extra part once again?
Right. So the star is resource.
Okay.
The building material that you need to build the weapon, right? So you get that by spending, the current calculation is for 5 coin, you get 1 building material, and you need, well, X number of materials to build the weapon. And if you manage to reach that, you kill the dragon, and everybody in Squirrelville is happy.
Okay.
Excellent.
Right. So each stage introduces a new mechanic that kind of reflects what you do in a real campaign. So the questions now are, this is, let's assume you succeeded. Yay, you won. What's your initial feedback for the game? What's the feel that you get? What are, more importantly, like, do you feel by discussing the strategies and making this specific kind of moves, there is learning coming out of it, or you're focusing more on calculating the right numbers and then that's it, and not even focusing on the content? And like new mechanics, new suggestions, like is the number of cards that you're drawing enough? Does it make sense to have this number reflects this concept, the other number reflects the other concept? What feedback can you give?
One of my initial bits of feedback is that I think we were concentrating very much on the mechanics and the strategy of the game itself, and not necessarily thinking about how related to a Kickstarter campaign. But I think that was because potentially you need to work on giving people more choice, because we didn't really have any choice in our moves. Do you see what I mean? Initially, for example, because we'd only pulled 1 green card, we weren't making a decision which related to sort of the Kickstarter campaign about which thing it would be best to do first. Yeah,
I think the fact that we tried it with 3 players, and it's kind of optimized for 4, limited the options. But maybe one thing that could give more leeway for choice would be, for example, if you have on your hand 4 action cards and 3 missions at the beginning of each round.
Yeah.
Maybe that would make it easier to would give more choice. Or the other idea is that the calculation should not be mission times action, but it should be you play a mission and you play an action, or you exchange, and we have a different kind of calculation for.
Is there among the missions and the actions, is there an optimum route? So in terms of the learning, is there a best way that you can play this?
Yeah, it's like at the end of all 3 stages, the idea is to have a variety of actions. So you can see that you basically need to do 6 types of actions and not just 2 or 3. Otherwise, you will not succeed. For example, the math leads to not succeeding if you play only 1 type.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it basically. That you have to have a diversity of different actions, and there should be more thinking on why choose this mission instead of the other. But I think that's kind of what I noticed the way I noticed you playing is that exactly because you have a limited number of missions and actions, you did discuss a lot about the mission. But what I noticed is that you didn't really discuss at all the content. It's just, I need this type of action.
Yeah.
And you didn't pay attention at all to the content, which is, it was already a concern in the previous game, which was the previous version of the game, which was a lot more complicated. We simplified it a lot, the mechanics, but still, like the main issue in the previous one was that after paying attention to the content on the first or the second round, then you realize that the numbers and the types matter, and you focus more on mechanically just playing cards instead of
yeah.
Yeah.
So you need to maybe come up with some ideas for linking the content more.
Yeah.
Sort of, what's the word I want?
Yeah. The problem
content
is
and the content and the mechanics need to somehow be more intertwined.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We haven't come up with a super brilliant idea so far about exactly
maybe I mean, I don't know this just off the top of my head, with the choice thing, the choosing which card to play and giving you more choice. If you made the cards double-sided so that each card had two choices for that stage, so that you've got, you know, two green choices, at least then you'll always have a choice between that action or that mission or that mission, even if you've only got one card out that's green. Does that make sense?
Sort of. Yeah. The main idea is to have to basically be forced to choose but from the same card, to be forced to choose what exactly you do in a way that is more connected to the content of the card rather than just the number of the actions.
But at least if the cards had a mission on both sides, you would never end up in the situation where you've got, well, we can only play that one because that's the only one that's there. If they were double-sided, you would at least be able to say, well, you've got to make a choice, a meaningful choice between either that mission or that mission, even if you've only got one green card out.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I see your point. Like the design issue would be that this is meant to be a physical board game as well as an app. So on the physical board game, it's like you need to have a cover. So
right. So you need to...
But for example, it could be that the card is the front side of the card is split in two, and you have to choose between the two sides of it.
No, but the mission cards are played face up, so it wouldn't matter.
They're played face up. Yeah, they're played face up, but when they're on the deck, they're flipped down, so you don't know what you're choosing. It's random.
Okay. In which case they'd have to be pulled out of a bag or something, wouldn't they? Either pull it out of a physical cover or just have a cover. But it could work. Like I like the main point of the idea is to choose between two options on the same cards, and we figure out a design way to do that. I like that. I think it would make it more relevant. Diba, are you still around? How do you like that idea?
Yeah. Actually, we have discussed a little bit about that these cards could be reusable during different stages. So that's kind of similar to that, but that's an amazing idea that we are going to work on it.
Yeah. The idea is not just to reuse them now, but the idea is to actually have two choices on the same card and be forced to choose.
Yeah,
I like that. That's a good point. Yeah, I think we can. That's something we can really take forward. Laxman, what share your brilliance as well. Are you still here?
I'm facing an internet. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've become invisible to save bandwidth.
Yeah. And now we cannot hear you anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the bandwidth, I'm gone offline, off camera. But I'll speak out. I agree to the point that Sarah brought out. Like you have two possible color code on each mission card, so they can be played in two different. They have the option to be played in two different stages, and therefore that brings in an element of discussion, and that also brings in an element of further complexity on choosing the cards. That would be good. I would agree to what you said as a question, is that somewhere the game mechanics is overshadowing the learning of the entire mission and the mission content.
Yeah.
So if possible, if you could reduce the game mechanic, that would be better. And what I meant by the game mechanic is not the aspect of playing a mission card or playing an action card, rather the scoring part on the. I think it's complex. We are looking at X number of spells. We are looking at X number of nuts. We're also looking at coins. I think all three of them are making it a bit complex. And if we could simplify by just having either squirrels or nuts as options, it may bring a different level of intensity. Or you could introduce one in each stage. Say in the first stage, it's only about squirrels. Second stage is only about nuts, and the third stage is a combination of both.
Yeah, that could also work somehow.
Because from a player mindset perspective, what happens is that this distracts and this completely sucks in the attention on the strategy to increase the number of nuts and squirrels and forget about the content, forget about negotiation, forget about the conflict and everything.
Yeah. In the previous version of the game, the exchanging resources part was simpler, was more or less how you describe, but the number of cards was much higher, and that's something that made the game very complicated and difficult to implement.
Yeah. So no, I'm just referring to the payback or reward mentioned within each mission, and if you could reduce the focus on them by staging them or staggering them as well over different stages.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And it also physically resembles a proper crowdfunding project. Initially, what matters is getting the number of people. When we are crowdfunding, obviously the objective is money, and early on money may not be that important, but getting more number of people, more number of cheerleaders, more number of supporters eventually would lead to money. And most crowdfunding projects reap in more money once the 50% of the time is completed.
Ironically, the really successful Kickstarter campaigns will probably fund quicker than it takes to play this game.
Agree. But then
we had Joe Slack, who came to the panel discussion, which was the first thing in this series of sessions, and his last Kickstarter campaign funded in 25 minutes.
Yeah. No, Joe Slack is amazing.
Yeah.
And then here, good that you brought this point out, Sarah. I have been studying this part, and I found that those Kickstarter programs which have actually got funded within a short period of time are focused back to either they are made by game designers who are followed by many people, or whose previous campaigns have been successful. Which in turn showcases that they already have an audience set or supporters set ready.
The audience is king when it comes to
Exactly. That's what I noticed as well. It's like if you are already famous and already have an outreach, then you're pretty much guaranteed to succeed no matter what you do on a Kickstarter, which is unfair for newcomers in the game. But correct my understanding, Antonius. You're developing this for people who are early on in the crowdfunding projects, not somebody else. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Second thing, which I also wanted to bring back and discuss, which also would go into the discussion of the mathematics you are calculating in the backend. Why should the game enforce the targets based on the number of players? In an actual Kickstarter or it's in an actual crowdfunding, the project team decides how much they want to achieve as a crowdfunding. And that, starting with that, helps us better to go into a crowdfunding scenario, because we know this is not something which can be funded in the normal way. So we decide a limit, and based on how responses come, there are stretch goals and there are expansion goals and other stuff.
Actually, I can maybe answer the question. Actually, the idea was to we are missing superpower of the heroes right now. And the original idea was that by representing different people here, like Freddy is a very media active, online active person, and then Vasiliki is very good with planning. So this was for introducing this concept of that kind of you need to be prepared to communicate. You
Yeah.
need to be prepared to plan. And these characters are different, has different abilities. And you know, it's a little difficult right now, but depend on when you have the cards, then you can go through the cards and choose one of them that you think the superpower passes you the best, or you can decide with your team that, for example, among 5 or 6 characters, you choose, depend on the size of the group, 4 or 3 characters to play with.
Yeah, in the previous version of the game, the characters were developed to basically have an effect on the calculations at the end, but it was an extra one more element to keep in mind on top of all the others. So we're now thinking how exactly to tackle it so it can still have an effect, but to make it like easy and straightforward instead of adding an extra level of complexity.
No,
Yeah, the idea is that what you're playing has an effect.
Let me rephrase this part. What I'm coming to is that what if we end up having a 2-player game?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I understand the number of players somewhere is directly influencing the number of squirrels, the number of nuts that can be raised as part of the stages. Now, in any crowdfunding projects, it's normally a small team that goes in. And there are even some crowdfunding projects which work with a solo individual working on it. And what I'm trying to bring out is in all crowdfunding projects, the team decides the limit that they want to achieve. So no matter what the amount is, if it is a small amount or if it is a very big amount, the crowdfunding process is the same. And with 1-person team or 4-person team or 6-person team, that factor does not get simulated over here. There could be a 4-people team looking for raising $10,000. There could be 1-person team raising $1 lakh. There could be 2-people team who's just looking at $25,000. It could be different, right? So I'm trying to bring that variability factor.
I try to answer your question. I think the main subject of the game is to introduce the different steps for the campaigning. Yeah. So that's you know, the amount of how much the campaign can be successful, or how much they can raise money, or how many people they can reach, is not very the main subject of the game. But it is that we have, for a successful campaign, we need these things to be done. And this game is more like a workshop than to have an actual campaign. So by going through the game, we want that players understand different steps that they need to have. But you know, maybe like many other workshops, players at the end would just grab some ideas of the workshop and not use all of them. So I'm not sure if I answered correctly or not, but this game is more like the representative of the workshop itself, that introduces you with the different steps of the having a complete campaign. So before the campaign, you have to reach people, and then during the campaign, you have to gather the money, and after the campaign, you have to do 2 things. One is to build the thing that you claimed, and the other is to send the rewards back to the backers. So steps to complete these campaigns is, we think that all the steps are for all of them, all of the campaigns are similar, but different people choose different steps to go forward with the campaign.
Yeah, I can also add to that. in real life, you do choose the amount as a team, but the amount is not random. It depends on what exactly you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And if we take outside of the whole calculation, super famous people that already have an enormous reach, and even with a solo project, they can raise the amount. For the average Joe that wants to run a new campaign, especially on a social startup, yeah, good luck. If you're the smaller team you are, the smaller your goal should be. Otherwise, there's no way you can achieve it.
Yeah.
So regarding choosing, though, because I think that's the main thing that I get from you, and which I like, is we could, for example, have 3 choices of different weapons, each requiring a different amount of resources, and also like different levels, so higher amounts to increase the difficulty. So you can basically choose from the beginning if you want an easier goal or a more difficult goal, and you can replay the game and learn something new by having better strategies to reach a higher goal. Yeah. So that maybe that would be a good way to take your feedback into account.
Agree. And if I may further add on from what I heard from both of you, I'm not sure whether you would have already discussed this, but I'm going to flip the scenario of the discussion and the board game mechanic with my next question. If the purpose is to understand the crowdfunding process and for everybody to learn the importance of the process, why not have more number of mission cards and less number of action cards?
The idea behind having both is to reveal that each action that you take comes with spending human resources, time to put the effort. So the action cards require the different types of effort that you have to put in order to complete a specific thing that you are thinking of doing.
I've just thought of something, a potential way of solving your issue about having to do more complex maths if you've got a different number of players. If you disconnect the squirrels from the players, so you don't assign a player to a squirrel, all the players as a team, regardless of whether that's a team of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so you could have as many players as you like, are discussing amongst themselves and coming to a decision about how the squirrels carry out this task. So, and then you can also go back slightly to your mechanic that you had before about the different squirrels having different superpowers or different kinds of tasks that they carry out, and actually give the squirrels, rather than randomly allocating the task cards to the squirrels, is actually give the squirrels a certain amount of resource for the things that they are able to do. So they've got a finite amount of resources that relate to, for example, for the tech squirrel, they've got a finite amount of internet ones, and they've got a finite for the whole game, and you can run out. So your squirrel can basically become exhausted because he's put in too much time and effort into the early parts of the thing, and is completely burnt out. But that means you can't access those kinds of tasks later on in the game. But instead of having the squirrels as players, the squirrels are characters that any of the players can step in and out of, and going, I think this squirrel should spend this because this squirrel's that. And that hopefully should also bring about more discussion about actual what's behind the actions.
So that's because the reasoning behind us describing the characters is that they represent people with different skills. So the question was putting limitations into game for each character. The previous version of the game, for example, had that you can only play this type of card, or that you have this kind of impact if you play X versus Y. I like your idea better because it simplifies it. So basically, each character comes with their own action deck, and you only basically play with emissions, and then you have to. I like that.
Yeah.
So
and I like
if you
that.
disconnect the squirrels from the players, then it doesn't matter how many
True,
players
true,
you've got.
true.
Yeah,
True.
yeah.
Very
I like
true.
that. I like that.
So, and then I agree with that. See, of course, this was supposed to be feedback. We jumped into solution mode. I would definitely compliment both of you for this
Brilliant.
being well thought about. It is really good. It's really good. Somewhere, maybe the complexity of multiple mechanics tied very closely to each other has brought us into this discussion. And one only feedback would be maybe you need to rethink how you could decouple them and bring in more simplicity. That's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is a good game, and I would I would love to play it quite often. There is an element of addiction to it. There is an element of repeatability to it. It's just that these nitty-gritty nuances of tightly coupled mechanics, if you decouple them and if you simplify it, I think you have something very good at hand.
It's always inevitably the case, though, isn't it? When you do a play test and you ask for feedback, if you sort of like look at it, it all sounds like horribly negative, as if your game's being ripped apart. But actually, you know, underlying it all, it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
And it's and it really does, Steve, what you said. It really does. Those 3 stages are so clever at the way they kind of take you through that, how a Kickstarter campaign works.
Yeah, the content what is necessary to run a campaign is not provided by us, but by people from the project that do have experience running campaigns. So they basically initially they gave me the content, like I asked them, this is what I need, this is the other thing I need, and we developed the content based on what they told me, and then I adapted it to the narrative of Squirrels versus Dragons, and then so then we are here with this idea. Ooh, all right, so let's see. I really like your suggestions. All of those simplify the game, but also make it more powerful. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool.
And second thing, what I would also want to do, where we spent a lot of time initially, was trying to understand the importance or the understanding of the symbols, trying to understand the rules of the play in each stage.
Yeah.
Now, rather than explaining like how you have the 2 segments of the story defined, possibly, and this I've been suggesting to the other gameplay in this week as well, and which I also learned from this week's gameplays, that have a quick small video of 1 or 2 minutes wherein you are actually playing this game.
Yeah, of course.
It. So that takes away a lot of essence in trying to explain and take the time out. Rather, it makes it a short, brief, quick explanation. It saves on time, and people can get into the play mode immediately.
Yeah. That's definitely planned to happen, but obviously can only happen after we finish the design of the game.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Recap. Adapting from the last idea first, that the characters come with their own decks of actions, and this is the limit of the resources that they can play. I really like starting with that. Then the missions. If we implement that, you only play with the missions, so you can basically have I think the number 3 would work with that. So you can have 3 missions in your hand. Maybe it could be 4. Let's see. You can have 3 missions on your card, and you have to decide. Each mission has 2 parts, and you're basically forced to choose one of the 2, and not just between which player chooses to play a mission, but also, I like that. Because
it becomes more of a God game, doesn't it? You decide what happens in the world, and you're telling the squirrels what to do.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, I missed one feedback, and rather that was an important thing. As a player, initially we were introduced that nuts as a currency. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now in the second stage, we are introduced about coins. I as a player got lost over there. What's the difference between coins and nuts, and
right.
what's the significance?
Yeah, no, that's a mistake in the facilitation, not in the game.
Okay. Then okay.
In the game, they're physically represented as nuts as well, so it will be much more straightforward.
Okay,
actually.
Also, Anthony, when you sort this out, remember that the next issue of Ludagogy is about economics. So you can obviously, when you've actually got this all sorted out, you can write an article about how you worked out the in-game economy and NutStarter.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! This has been a night. Like, you cannot imagine how many hours I've spent doing simple math that is super complicated.
Yeah, in-game economies, they are not as simple as they look, are they?
Exactly.
No.
And it's always like you're missing one simple thing that you didn't calculate, and everything goes to hell.
Yeah. You suddenly realise that this one like tiny little mistake you've made in calculation results in a really unbalanced game. You have to start all over again.
Yeah.
And if I were to take the reference of Kickstarter, it would be good if you could have a visual dashboard on the keeping a track of the number of squares, keeping a track on the number of nuts gained, and also keeping a track of the additional goals that have been achieved or the mission cards that have been played. So if you could create a dashboard somewhere in the game board.
Even just a track. A track is probably the way to go, isn't it?
Yeah.
With like pictures of squirrels going up towards a target.
Exactly. Yeah. That is the idea behind this, but of course it will be developed a lot more. So each small square of this is a different round, but of course it will be developed to reflect what you are supposed to do in each round, and also the obstacle that is presented in each round.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm so excited about this game. I can't wait to see it finish.
Same with me. And then I do understand the amount of number churning you would have to do, the amount of arguments and discussion you would have to do to simplify. But I think you have really, it reflects in what you have achieved so far, but at the same time, you may have to go, or we do the same again to further simplify.
Yes.
I'm happy to get on board whenever you require for adding more chaos to the thought process.
I forgot to say one important thing that is part of the project, because this is a European, an EU-funded project, and one of the clauses when you get something funded like that is that the material needs to be released as an open educational resource. So the game will be free to download and play, print and play. And yeah, what comes with that is that sure, you can charge to become a trained facilitator and to provide the facilitation, but the game itself is free. The instruction set is there, all the materials are there. You just have to download, print, learn how to play, and just run, play, and learn.
Excellent.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to just to say that the game would be free, and that's why and it should be printable, so we are providing a printable version, so it can be cut through and everything would be prepared. And one of the discussions that we had is, you had lots of great ideas, and one of the discussions we had was that the amount of cards and different actions and tokens and all different things could be a little confusing when it's a printable game. If it was packaged, it could be very easier because everything would be packed on different sections. But this one is a printable version, so it's each person that wants to play that game should print it and cut it and sort it out. So that's also another thing. So that's for keeping track of, for example, squares and knots. If you want to have a separate space, then again, it's an additional thing that we have to explain for the player that, okay, cut this part also and keep track of that.
Makes sense. I also wanted to draw one more, going back again, I'm sorry. This was something I wanted to bring earlier on as well. I'll repeat. We had coins, we had nuts, and in the action cards, we have an euro symbol. All three are somewhere talking about the economics, but it leads to a cognitive overload.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's, I just added that euro symbol, and if you look closely, that it has a peak of an acron on at the end. So that was the idea that it's going to change to a knot. If you zoom, and at the left, at the left you have this
acorn thing,
but I couldn't complete it because it was the last minute, so it was right before the start of this session.
That's okay, no problem.
Okay.
But it could also be because it was very small on the Miro board. possibly. Yeah.
So,
All right. So
we're,
thank you very much for your feedback. And yeah, sorry, Sarah. I just I
right.
wanted to say it's time to close, but yeah,
Yeah.
you do it.
So is there anything you want to let people know about before we pack up? So I mean, anything you put in the chat, you know, sort of website addresses, your contact details or whatever, I can edit onto the recording before I post it on Ludagogy.
Yeah, I mean, you can share our LinkedIn accounts, but the game is planned to be released in next spring, so it should be finished by then. And then there will be a website from which you can download the game for free and everything else that we said. So yeah, that's the important thing to remember, that the game will be released in spring and will be free to print and play.
Okay, so if people want to keep a track of when that happens and where to go when it does happen, it's probably best if they follow you on LinkedIn or something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Cool. Okay. Brilliant. Any last words that you want to say?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. This has been really, really helpful, despite the small number of, or maybe because of the small number of people involved. So yeah, this was exactly what we needed at this stage. So thank you very much for organizing this.
Well, thank you very much for bringing it along. It's been a really fun one to play, and a nice way to round off all of these sessions that we've been doing.
Right. Oh wait, this was the last one.
This is the last one, yeah.
Oh my God, you kept the last one for the best one for last.
I couldn't possibly comment because I don't want to offend all the other people who've given their time and expertise to these events as well. So yeah, but if you want to believe that, Antonis, go ahead. Fill your boots. No, it has been really good fun, and thank you so much. And yeah, I hope we get to see it very soon. Well, spring, and I hope we'll have conversations, I'm sure, in the near future.
Definitely.